Hi everyone, welcome to the new course. This semester we're going to be doing multiple small papers that are a test of your knowledge and a way to analyze what you're reading and researching and learning from the lectures and the course overall. They're quick hits, just one little page and some citations. It makes me feel you understand the work more than you're just surface reading or listening to my voice and then moving on. Plus, they're a little bit of a challenge, so I make them fun. You have to think about it and use all your IT skills. So this semester is going to be a rather different way to approach it. I think you'll have some fun with this. This first lecture goes right along with chapters 1 and 2, and I'll kind of have these every 2 weeks out, and you'll be able to relax a little bit in between and think and research a little bit more, which I think is more important to give you guys time to do so. Management information systems is a process that we're learning overall, why we exist, why IT exists. Overall, there's probably over 85 million online sites now. Plus, it keeps growing so fast we can't keep up with it. The figures in 817 billions in the 2014 area. Can you imagine what it already is now? There's no new real figures for it. Think about the US smartphone population. They're everywhere. Everybody's connected. They're almost free to the regular day consumer. Senior citizens can get them for free if they need help and assistance for emergencies. A lot of this all comes down to the big IT idea. What's behind it? The cloud. Where is all this information coming from? That's where I'm really fascinated with. And this is what I'm fascinated with overall for this course is what does an organization do with all this information? Because this information is all recorded. Every time you use a terms of service idea agreement, you're giving your data away. What is data? Well, it's something that firms are using today, organizations are using today to make decisions about what to market you with, when to send you an idea, where you can come to on a website to get something you're looking for, and all of a sudden, boom, there's three other things that you've already liked. We've all seen this happen on Amazon or Zappos. Heck, it just pops right up on my screen and it might happen here. A lot of this idea is changing the way you'll work and the way I work now. They call it space shifting or digital space shifting. Our workforce environment is no longer a 9 to 5 go to work. When I worked as an AIP professor in Pittsburgh, I rode a mountain bike across town to the library and worked out of a library. I would put a coat on and sit in front of my screen when my class was up. It was all virtual. We're moving towards that in all classrooms and all universities today. It's called a business process. And I'm saying this because what we're creating is more or less a toolkit for people's success or organizations to survive. We're looking at the way behaviors and actions are coordinated, and we're putting this all together today with developing marketing plans for sales. We don't really think of our world as sales, but when it comes down to it, we're designing something for a user to actually use. If it doesn't get used, we don't have jobs. We have no reason to exist. We communicate from A to B, but that B is always about the user goal. Nothing more, nothing less. Back to that space shifting idea. It creates an entire world, an independence. Right now, I'm sitting in my home office, some 40 miles away from campus. I didn't have to drive in today and waste an hour of driving in, hour time back. I can spend more time lecturing to you. There is problems with this for my life. It's a 24/7. I had a student texting me last night at 11:30 for over half an hour, but we had a great conversation that helped him through an idea he couldn't capture. So in essence, smartphones and these new technologies are leashes, where everyone's expected immediate responses. It's great for organizations because the university is not paying for my office space, they're not paying for my internet. So it's changing the way they can save money and reduce costs to you. Tuition, lower cost books by virtual books. They have no overhead. I pay the electric, no heating and cooling, less taxes. Think about Sony. Their idea at first was moving their plants to Mexico, and you hear a lot about this today. Not anymore. AT&T is investing in the home. The military is invested into smart campuses on their own platforms. Verizon shifts a lot of stuff to India. But today that workforce is coming back because we can be virtually anywhere and reduce their tax base, their costs, their overhead, or what they call sunk costs. That's something invested in that you can't really get back with. You have to have. You have to have a desk at your schoolroom. You have to have a computer for you. You have to have lights on. Those are sunk costs. So a lot of things we'll talk about is business models. I know you guys, most of you are not in the business side and never really had any economics courses, but we're going to touch a lot on this semester. Business models really think about the producers, the delivery, what it takes to sell the product or service to create wealth. Information systems is actually putting an efficiency to this idea. We think about this, and a lot of you have had a supply chain monitoring course. Let's look at an example. I love giving you examples. I love Walmart for one reason. Millions and billions in sales a year. They think about customer purchase and restocking speed. Saves time. Because if it's not on the shelf when you walk in, you don't buy it. Today, they're actually shifting to a virtual environment, trying to get customers to go online to where you can drive up to the store and they'll walk it out and drop it in your car. Kroger's is now doing this. Or more importantly, they'll just ship it straight to your house. And they have warehouses set up like Amazon does recently in Macon and other areas to where it facilitates a faster speed. Most companies, like Hewlett Packard, are even leasing out spaces at UPS to store their packages so they get right to you within one day. These are all interrelated components. It's a process. It's a way to distribute. We think about information. Loudon in your book talks about the information idea of this. But it's also data. Data can be sold. Data can be used. It's a raw facts or figures of zeros and ones are unorganized. We collect that. When we put it together and start shaping it, it becomes information and have meaning and direction. This is how companies use this to make big decisions, big ideas. Information technology itself, a lot of people think of the simplicity of it as the hardware, the computer, the software, what the people use or what we design. It formulates a complete kind of business circle to get to the objective or goal. Information systems process this and distribute the information just like an old telephone used to do. We did this in the old days through what? Deet, 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 deet. You guys ever hear that on old TVs? Where wire services would actually do this through Morse code, translate it back. The military will still use that at some points, but they have a lot different things now today for protection. But everything has an input. It has something that data is put into some way, whether it's a wire, a telephone, a keyboard, a process that converts it, an output for transferring this information. We call this a life cycle a lot of times, or a loop. We'll discuss that idea a little bit later in depth too as well. We'll talk about the Shannon-Weaver model, which is primarily a military-based idea on whether or not information is received or not through coding and decoding in a transfer loop and brought back. This is kind of the textual ideas. We'll talk a little bit about how the internet is becoming an extranet also, and the infrastructure that's needed for these platforms and the different job roles. The greatest thing you got to think about is, and we don't usually think about this, is does it have value? Acquired data can mean a great million different things for one person, but nothing for someone else. If it has actual investments to it and we can process it to give meaning, remember that information idea, the whole overall idea, the value of this information becomes actually a better way to make profits. And we do that through decisions. Most of the CIOs start doing this information. Hopefully someday you'll be one too. Assets are more than just what you see in front of you. It's not a dollar. A lot of things can have value. If we think about it today, Bitcoin is imaginary. You don't hold one, but they all have a value, an assessed value. There's structures and behaviors. These all create the derived values and the trust we need in something. There's three types of assets if we think about it. The organizational asset. It's kind of the culture, the authority. It's the support system. There's managerial assets, which help us train and collaborate, create knowledge management for decisions, that information, turning the data into it. Social assets, which you all know very well, Facebook and tons of different ones that I don't even use. In my day, we started with MySpace, but that's long gone. Those change so fast, but these are all telecommunication methods. Laws and regulations are changing. We're seeing a lot of this today. It's very interesting how the government's starting to play into our world and our overall assets and how we do things. And you'll probably notice in the background it's feeding time. So sometimes you guys will get some comedy relief in my lectures because you'll hear my dogs barking because they want breakfast. So you'll have to deal with that just a touch. But if we look at roles overall, senior management are kind of those CIOs. They're the strategists. They make the decisions from the data. Middle management carries out the plans. If we think about it from the university standpoint, that would be your dean. He makes the decisions whether or not your classes are valid or we should have them or not, or if they're important to your building a job creation packet, your portfolio. The operational management is kind of like our department chair. They process everything. They make sure you have a chair in a classroom. They make sure the teacher's there. They make sure you're there on time and all the procedures are done. Knowledge workers, and a lot of times, are the professors. We're the ones who study the books. We're the ones who look at the research, the data, and try to make it into an information package for you and process it and give it to you. Data workers, a lot of times you can think of them as secretaries. They make sure that when we give them the information that says, yeah, you've got an A, it's put into the register that you've got an A. And they accumulate all that data, put it together, it's processed on a daily idea. There's also IT techs. They're kind of a starting point for a lot of individuals. They call them the geeks sometimes because they know the insides and out. They can set up a network, they can put a hard drive in, or they can go and install and uninstall software. It's kind of their primary core, but they're the ants. They build everything. Let's think of a case study. What does this all mean? So every organization has all these rules, and they also have the business side rules on the other side. We're not going to really get there today. But I want you to think about UPS. I love UPS. It's a very fascinating company, especially FedEx as well. Today, it's all about speed of delivery and customer service. And they use information and data and IT to do this. I talk a little bit about this and give you an example in your first papers about driver's routes, how they set it up through GPS so every single package only has right turns, so they never have to stop. It saves on wear and tear in a truck, less brakes. They don't have to sit at a red light for 2, 3 minutes every 10 feet. They keep moving, so they get your package to you faster. They also have tracking on the trucks that tells temperature, road time, speed that they're going. And in real time, this data is sent back, analyzed, and updated into a customer service profile, which tracks your package, can tell you how long it's going to take on the estimated route by the weather conditions, the roadway, the speed of the travel of the driver, till your package is going to get to the door. And as it's scanned through on barcodes, it's dropped a new note of where it's at in location, even updates you. They're giving real time off of MapQuest, off of different ideas in GPS locators. They're using all these new IT technologies, information technology ideas to help you as a customer be more satisfied and use their services. We'll talk about one of my favorite upstarts with Zappos and the history of it and how it's using technology and Dick's Sporting Goods. Talk about the Amazon zones maybe down the road. And I hinted on Hewlett Packard that they're actually working in conjunction and a bunch of other companies with UPS to store their ink cartridges now at all their locations. So when you order one, you can get it next day or even the same day because they just go over and pick it up and throw it in a truck going by your house and add you to their route. Amazing. Ritz Carlton's another awesome place. If you ever get a chance to stay there, suggested. Hopefully someone pays because it's expensive, but hey, I did once. But they're all into behavioral science and experience of the user. And they are huge data collectors. From the second you touch their website, they're starting to collect to the second you touch their door. They take note of the shoes you wear, the cigar you smoke, the clothes, They ask you questions. They interview every single person that comes in to stay with them with a person client. And they keep all this data. What do you like? Do you like baseball? Oh, okay. Do you like temperature, cool, warm? What type of pillow do you like? They have the maids actually look at how long you were in bed, how long you were out. The keys monitor when you leave, when you go to dinner. They have everything set up to collect data on you. They do all this to keep a profile to make you happy. So when you walk in the door the next time, they know your name. They know more than your name. They know something personal about you. They know that you have two border collies, two horses. They know that you like a certain cigar. They know that you like to read the New York Times. They know that you need really fast internet because you work online and teach. They know that you like super quiet and soft pillows. They know that you like extra blankets. They know that you like baseball, so conveniently the baseball package is on the TV and set up and waiting for when you walk into the room. All these things make it terrific. They even take notice of smells and flowers I once talked about. So every room that I go into will have a light jasmine smell, a fragrance added to it, just for my pleasure. This is big data. This is how organizations are using what we do to create information. Throughout this study, we're going to have fun. These little challenges will come up for you to invest a little bit of time in and research companies out that you might be excited to get a job with. I talked about one. Might never have thought about joining Ritz-Carlton's IT department. It's massive. You might not have thought about Hilton or one of these other chains. You might think, well, gee, I got to get a job with Geico because it's local or someone that's known. We're going to talk about critical infrastructure as well, about how many jobs and how much computers now save our lives and transfer everything we do. Just think, for example, how your water gets to your house. Do you know anything about it? Maybe that's what you do for your first paper. How about your electricity? Do you know how much it's managed by IT? My monitor on my house sends a bill to me. Crazy. Well, gang, this is the first little lecture. Start looking. And please, please add stuff in as you research out on companies and ideas and organizations. Maybe you start thinking about a role you want as an analyst and start looking for a company that fits your mold and a culture that you want to be excited about. Have a great day, gang. See you soon.